Are you done with being nice? Tired of being taken advantage of by friends, family, colleagues, even lovers? Would you like to discover the neuroscience behind your behavior and learn how to understand yourself better, reclaim your power for everybody's benefit? I'm Nilesh, and after 10 years as a doctor, I started to realize that mastering emotions with compassion is not just the key to dissolving problems, but activating potential. I now have the pleasure of guiding leaders and visionaries such as 8-figure entrepreneurs, film producers, music stars through this process called the Compassion Mastery Method, and I'm so thrilled you're joining me here on this channel. Okay, so let's imagine that you want to say no to some friends because you are doing a health kick at the moment. Maybe you're trying to not eat sugar, or maybe you are not eating out for the month of January and February and March in a way to try and, healthily cleanse your body, but you really struggle to say no. You struggle with boundaries. Maybe as well, you set a lot of goals for yourself, like health goals like this, but you give in to instant gratification. So maybe you manage to keep the health goal, but instead you scroll on your phone loads, or you look at porn, or you maybe buy too many things online. Maybe you compromise yourself at your own risk. You don't really say for what you want in relationships. You don't tell people what you truly desire, what your true authenticity is. You hide some of your interests and your fears because you're worried about being rejected. Or last of all, maybe you feel that you give and you give and you give in relationships, and you just don't get what you expect to receive back. Maybe you're always the one who's going the extra mile. Have you ever wondered why you do all these behaviors? Well, I'm going to share with you the neuroscience behind this, and I'm going to share with you the psychology as to why nice guys and girls, which interestingly enough are the kinds of people I work with, nice performers, I call them. Nice meaning that they feel like they had to care in order to be loved, and perform means that they feel like they had to accomplish to be loved. If that resonates with you, that's definitely been a large part of my life. I'm here to hopefully shine some light on why you behave the way you behave, and also, of course, give you some solutions and some tips based in science to help you kindly and compassionately move forward, because there's a balance, and I've seen it go both ways. So your authenticity was rejected when you were younger by your caregivers. That's why you learned to be nice. It was not safe for you to be you. It's only safe for you to be in connection. And so at a young age, you learned to seek approval. You learned to say yes when you want to say no. You learned to erode your own boundaries. You learned to compromise yourself. You learned that, every time you give, you're going to expect to receive something back. Essentially, what you experienced it sounds quite benign, but the truth is it has devastating effects. We know that Gabor Mate speaks a lot about this, that being nice can result in autoimmune conditions, can even result in things like cancers. The body starts to reject a lot of itself, because at a spiritual level, that's what being nice is. You're rejecting your own authenticity because you believe you will not be loved if you show up as your true self. So it's rooted in a lot of deep shame. It's actually a very uncompassionate way to live. And if I was going to sum this up in 2 words, it's that when you were young, you were dealt conditional love. And compassion is moving from the conditional to the unconditional. It's saying, can I be happy without the conditions that everyone else needs for happiness? Can I feel loved without all the conditions that everyone else needs for love? I'd like to give you a framework for nice guy and girl tendencies. It really hit a mark with me when I realized this framework. So I just want you to remember NICE, N-I-C-E. N stands for no boundaries. I stands for instant gratification. C stands for compromising of the self. And E stands for expectations of return. So these are the 4 hallmarks of being nice. And this is sometimes why it hurts to be nice, because ultimately the most healing thing we can do for our bodies is to be in our authentic selves. Notice that, when you are doing things that align to what you're meant to do on this planet, your meaning, your purpose, notice how your body relaxes. And this isn't just what I'm saying, it's science. We know that having a sense of purpose, of being aligned to your truth of who you are, will reduce cholesterol, blood pressure. It will protect the little shoelace caps on the end of your DNA. This is serious stuff. It's got physiological changes. So these are 4 hallmarks of being nice. So like I said at the start, are you that kind of person that erodes your health boundaries, that says yes when you want to stay on a healthy health kick, and you say yes to your friends and you go out for meals, or you drink alcohol, or You say yes to staying up late. Are you someone that gives into instant gratification? I want you to remember the 4 S's of that, which is sugar, sex, shopping, and social media. Are you someone that can get caught in that stream and notice that you're just looking for that next ping? Or are you doing any deep work? Have you got any long-term goals and visions? Do you have a sense of purpose? Or are you just doing the things in the short term? Like we say, short-term gain, long-term pain. And this is a huge one for being nice. Often people who are nice, and I used to fall into this category, we would appease or say yes to things that you really want to say no to, because in the short term, you didn't want to deal with the conflict or the struggle or the anger or the frustration or the resentment of the other person. And of course, in the long run, actually that just leads to more resentment for both of you because you're not showing up as your authentic self. C, compromising the self. Are you doing what you really want to do? Are you expressing your true desires in work, in relationships, or are you just settling like many people? Are you settling for that job? Are you settling for that relationship? Could you really, and ask yourself right now, what is it that I truly desire? If I had a magic wand, what would I love my life to look like in 3 years' time? And no filter, write it down and then explore as well all of your fears not having received that, and you will find out whether you're compromising yourself or not. And the last one, expectation of return. Are you expecting things? Do you often feel this way of disappointment when people don't buy a gift for you when you bought a gift for them, when people don't respond to your texts? Imagine opening up your phone and saying they don't respond to me, and then do you feel that disconnection and that frustration and disappointment? If so, it could be that you've got some kind of conditions and some rules. Maybe you're taking things personally, as Don Miguel Ruiz's famous book says. By the way, this book, absolutely phenomenal. I think it's got over 50,000 or maybe even 100,000 reviews on Amazon. It's a timeless spiritual classic for freedom. And in there, he says, do not assume and don't take things personally as the agreements for freedom from the mind. So being nice, sometimes you have these inbuilt agreements and you expect things in return. And of course, what does that do? It doesn't make you emotionally healthy. It doesn't help you master your emotions, keeps you stuck, doesn't help you fulfill your potential, which I know if you're watching this channel, that's exactly what you're here to do. Let's dive into the 5 main brain areas that are involved in being nice, and then let's propose some solutions as well. So neuroscience geeks out there, I do love to flirt with a bit of neuroscience. I'm not a neuroscientist, but I do love it. And these are the 5 main brain areas that are implicated in being nice. The amygdala, the ventral tegmental area, the anterior mid-cingulate cortex, the striatum, ventral striatum, the insular cortex, they're all implicated in being nice. If you imagine here, this is a model of the brain. And I learned this from Professor Daniel Siegel. His work is transformational on the brain, on compassion, and on the mind. I want you to imagine this is the brain stem back here, the wrist. This bit here is what's called the limbic brain, or if you like, the mammalian brain. This is the reptilian brain. And then this bit that goes on the top is the prefrontal cortex. McLean in the 1960s, by the way, I hope you guys have been geeking out on this stuff, so we're just riffing on this right now. McLean in the 1960s came up with what's called the triune brain theory. And this has, of course, been widely made more pop culture, if you like, by people like Joe Dispenza, where he talks about the 3 levels of brain: reptilian, mammalian, human or prefrontal cortex. Even if you've read any Chimp Paradox, Steve Peters talks about it too. So anyway, the reason why I'm showing you this brain model is if you cut the brain, so if you like, this is our brain. If you cut it in half like this is where most of the areas are implicated. So we've got here the amygdala is around near the hypothalamus here in the emotional brain. Ventral tegmental area, the striatum, these are areas associated, which I'll get into, with reward, with motivation, with pleasure, with value-based decision-making. So let's dive into it. So the N, no boundaries. Empathy without compassion leads to burnout. So all of those 5 main brain areas that I mentioned are implicated in the no boundaries. But to be honest, the biggest 2 areas is the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex. So the amygdala is the fear center of the brain. And the reason why we don't set boundaries, quite simply, is just fear of conflict, okay? We're getting some old memories that are stored here in the amygdala, and that is like a warning signal going off, and it overrides the more rational part of the prefrontal cortex, which says, it's fine if you don't, if you say no to your friends and you say, actually, I'm going to bed early tonight, or I'm not going to eat that sugary treat. This amygdala is firing off going, you're going to be rejected, you're not going to be accepted, you're not going to be loved. And as a result, it's overriding the more rational prefrontal cortex. And that's what stops you from not having any boundaries. Instant gratification, the I. So this is short-term gain, long-term pain. Well, I want you to remember that this is the ventral tegmental area. And in short, this area is involved in reward-based decision-making, along with many other things like motivation and the reinforcement of behaviors. But this area is gonna, if it's harmed from when you were younger, right? So if you've only received conditional love instead of unconditional love, it's not safe to be me, and instead you met the needs of the collective, the we, then you may be more prone to short-term gain, instant gratification. And it is no coincidence that we know, for example, people with ADHD, they have issues with childhood attachment. Again, look at Daniel Amen's work, a huge body of neuroscience on ADHD. It is a condition of attachment. So that instant gratification that you are seeking is often deeply rooted in stuff that's gone on in your past. It's no one's fault, but that's the way it is. And that is why sometimes you can choose instant gratification. So what's the solution for instant gratification? Well, of course, it is as simple as neurons that fire together, wire together. So just like how, that's called Hebb's law, by the way, just like how you've wired in those neural pathways at a young age, and you've learned that you need to focus on short-term gain, well, you can do this. You can do the opposite now. You can do what's called a pattern interrupt. So think about those things: sugar, sex, shopping, social media. Start to create environmental hacks to make those things more difficult to do. Taking sugar, for example, removing it from the home. That way you're not going to give in to instant gratification. Or social media, having clear windows of your phone where it's not available. I know there's many apps. There's a new thing called a brick that you can download and put on, which makes your phone like a brick. I've seen that. Not an endorsement, by the way. Same thing with shopping. You can have a no spend day where you highlight in your calendar and delete your Amazon or whatever it is that you're going to use. So making sure that you make it difficult for you to do those instant gratification habits is what's going to help you. It's going to stop you as well from being so nice, because it's going to give you your power back, and it's going to take away that pain and hurt that's been sitting in you for a long time. Compromising of the self. So the brain area that's affected here is the anterior midcingulate cortex. So what happens when you compromise the self is you stop listening to your internal cues, your intuition, and instead you're focusing on external cues. So if you're someone that struggles with a sense of purpose, and you're taking every book, every podcast, every seminar, and you're trying your best to, set up that online business or set up your mission, but you're actually confused, you're not clear in your mission. I've been there. This was definitely me at one stage. It could be that, the nice guy tendencies, nice girl tendencies, the conditional love from the past has caused that anterior midcingulate cortex to be more aware of external cues based on what's called the salience network of the brain, more aware of what's going on outside instead of inside. And of course, that's difficult. So again, back to Hebb's law, neurons that fire together, wire together. What's the solution? You need to do the opposite. You need to spend time with yourself. Introspective practices. I love this quote from the Buddhists, which say, the purpose of an introspective practice is to dispel any false assumptions of happiness. How amazing is that? So going into nature, being in silence. I would even recommend, if you wanted to do a silent retreat, it's an amazing thing to do, but let's make this really fast and easy for you. I would strongly recommend every morning you do a minimum of 30 minutes to an hour of silence. That means no music, no phone, no podcast, no books even, and you sit in your own space. It doesn't matter if you're meditating or not. Of course, if you want to meditate, great. That moment of silence is going to help you listen to your inner voice, and it's going to help bring more importance and value to yourself, so that you know who you are, your authenticity, and so you don't compromise and hurt yourself or others through the nice behaviors which we know can happen. Okay, and then the E, expectations of return. Right, being nice sometimes feels unfair. It's transactional, and it's like you're doing this with the expectation of a reward. Again, this is involving, ventral tegmental area, striatum, and it's where you expect rewards, but then you'll also get the insular cortex, which is an area of suffering in the brain. It's also an area of empathy where you feel disappointment. And the truth is about that is you're feeling disappointment because you're focused on yourself and not the other person. Giving is giving. Giving isn't giving in the expectation to return. And I remember there's a very powerful exercise I've done with one of my coaches a while ago, where you can do this with me now on the video. I want you to take a breath in. Breathe, 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 breathe. Keep going in. Keep going until you can't go anymore. And how does that feel? Release. it feels really uncomfortable, doesn't it? And in the same way, I want you to breathe out, breathe out, breathe out, breathe out, breathe out, breathe out, breathe out. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going until you can't breathe anymore and it feels incredibly uncomfortable. This bringing us back to the breath shows us the natural cycle of life, the natural cycle in the universe, that when we breathe in, we breathe out, and you will always receive what you give. You just never receive it in the way that you expect. So often when we have this expectation of return, we feel life is unfair, people aren't giving to us. The truth is, we're not really being aware or savoring what we have around us, what we are noticing in this moment, whether it's, the fact that you have a warm bed, or the fact that you can be out in the sunshine, or the fact that we have a country that's free of war at the moment. These things are taken for granted, and we know that some of the happiest people in the world, these are the thought habits that they have. And of course, happiness creates success and fulfillment and health. So why wouldn't you want that? So this expectation of return, the solution here is to be much more clear on what you have, focusing in on gratitude. But I would like you to go with this specific exercise. It's one you can do right now. It's what I like to call cellular appreciation. And you go through all the different layers of the body. I'm going to very quickly run through it. You bring your attention around your body, to the skin of your body, to the muscles of your body, to the bones, then all the organs, your brain, your eyes, your ears, your nose, your throat, all the way down into the gut, the heart, the lungs. You bring your attention into all the endocrine, the hormonal organs, liver, pancreas, thyroid, gallbladder, sexual organs. Then you go down to the cells in the body, the blood, and the DNA. And you notice, I can already feel it in myself, just becoming aware of these processes that are going on. Have you given anything for that? For this gift of life that's there? Of course we haven't, but this is going on right now in this moment. And it is a wondrous, awe-inspiring thing that this body is in communication and it's functioning with no conscious thought and no conscious awareness. And I think this is kind of the essence of becoming more conscious, mastering your emotions so you can activate your potential and help others, is becoming aware of what you have in this moment, even if you're sick, even if you're going through hardship and struggle. So being aware of what you have is going to take away this expectation of return. It's going to give you a lot of power back in your world. So let us recap. We spoke about some very profound concepts about why being nice hurts you. And we spoke about the reason for this being conditional love, that it wasn't safe to be you as a child. That's no one's fault. That is the status into which made you have no boundaries, your instant gratification, compromise yourself, your intuition, and expect things in return. And then we went through the neuroscience of those 4 principles, think about the 5 brain areas implicated, and gave you specific strategies for each one. I wish I'd had this video 10 years, 15 years, even 5 years ago. And so I really hope that you love it. This is stuff that I make for my clients. Like I say, these high profile clients that are all on this journey to emotional mastery, of course, so they can become more successful, more healthy, and give back more to the world. If that is you, I want to hear from you in the comments, and I will see you in the next few videos.